Hello everyone, and welcome to this overview of uvFactory for Blender. uvFactory is a set of tools designed to streamline the UV creation process. It can be used to speed up manual unwrapping or create fully automatic UV pipelines. It is installed as an asset library in Blender. To install, simply download the latest zip file for your version of Blender and extract it in a location of your choosing. Then inside Blender, go to Edit, Preferences, File Paths, add a new asset library, and locate the extracted folder. After saving preferences and restarting Blender, uvFactory tool should be available in the relevant places. In the Add Modifier menu, in Edit Mesh mode in the UV menu, in Geometry nodes in the Add Node menu, and of course in the Asset Browser. To get started quickly, I'd recommend adding a UV grid material and an island unwrap modifier to a default cube and then just start modelling. The UVs should remain stable and oriented as you model. Curved surfaces and cylinders should also be stable. And because these UVs are procedural, you can apply them after other modifiers, such as a boolean. There are currently 3 methods for generating UVs: Box Project, Island Project, and Island Unwrap. Box Project is the simplest and fastest method. Each face is planar projected from the most appropriate axis. It's a fairly standard way of projecting UVs, and is similar to the method found in Blender's Texture Shader node. Island Project and Island Unwrap first need to define where UV islands are using seam edges. These can be generated automatically and manually specified. I'll talk about this later in the video. Island Project performs a planar UV projection per island. UVs are oriented based on the model's z-axis. This works well for models made of flat surfaces, as there will be stretching if islands are curved. This brings us to our last and most powerful method, Island Unwrap. This method unwraps and flattens each island and then orients it the same way as Island Project. It also has logic for handling cylindrical or looped UV islands. Meshes with clear, sharp edges can often produce good results without any manual seam markup. In this example, we can see that both island methods have much better UVs for the roof, but Island Project cannot handle the cylinder at the top, and there is stretching on the curved surface at the front. The settings for UV generation methods are almost identical. Let's go through each section. At the top we have tile size and UV map. Tile size determines the scale of the UVs, the distance at which a tiling texture will repeat. UV map specifies which UV map to write to. Due to limitations with Blender, this is currently a text field. Putting the wrong name in will create a new map with that name. To write to an existing map, you must make sure the name matches the one you want to write to. Island Project and Island Unwrap have a section for seams to define UV islands. Edges above this specified angle will be used as seams. If you don't want to mark seams this way, you can set this to 360 degrees. You can toggle whether edges marked as sharp are used as seams, and whether to detect and use seams already present in the UVs. You can also supply an attribute for seams. As of Blender 4.4, edges marked as seams are picked up this way. Here we'll mark up some seams manually in edit mode. Meshes without clear, sharp edges will likely require seams adding by hand. In the selection panel, we control which faces to generate UVs for. The default is to apply to every face, but we can supply an attribute here, such as a vertex group. There is an option to invert the selection. The material field lets you limit the generator to a specific material. This mesh only has one material, so I'll use one of my free products to quickly apply materials to different faces. Now if we select this material, we can see UV generation is limited to where that material is. UV transform lets you offset and rotate the UVs uniformly in UV space. Projection transform affects how UVs are aligned to 3D surfaces. You can think of these settings as transforming the mesh itself before generating UVs. You can input the transforms here or provide a reference object. Here we'll add an empty to the scene and use this as a reference. This provides a nice visual way of transforming the projection and can be useful to match UVs across multiple objects. Under Output Attributes, we can see UV seams are being stored here. This can be read by other uvFactory tools and allows you to keep and manage different seams for different maps. To preview procedural UVs in the UV editor, I'd first recommend having Sync Selection turned on. Then under Overlays, turn on Modified Edges. Now let's look at the transform tools included with uvFactory. All of these have the same selection options as the generators. The UV Transform modifier lets you transform selected UVs. You can transform them either per island or globally. Randomize Islands lets you add a random transform to each UV island. The randomness can be re-rolled by using the seed at the top. Align Islands will rotate UV islands to try and best match their slope. By default, it aligns to the object's z-axis, but you can change the vector or even supply a field to align to. So far, we've been looking at overlapping or tiling UV maps. Pack Islands will fit selected UVs into a 0 to 1 space. This implementation is less effective than the Pack Islands tool in the UV editor, but it's useful to have when UVs need to remain procedural. With uvFactory, many unwrapping tasks can now be carried out directly in the 3D viewport. Here we have a human base mesh with seams already marked up. I'll select the islands for the head and press U to bring up the UV menu and select Blender's built-in angle-based unwrap. This has done a good job at flattening the UVs, but it would be nice if they were world aligned. Selecting the islands we wish to align, we can press U again and select uvFactory's Align Islands, which will achieve what we're looking for. Let's say we wish to give the face a higher resolution than the rest of the head. We can use Transform UVs from the same menu. Finally, let's pack all the head UVs to the second UDIM tile using Pack Islands. Hopefully you found this video helpful. I didn't go through every tool included in uvFactory, but full documentation is linked in the description. That's all for now, so thanks for checking out uvFactory, and happy unwrapping.